Behind the Mic is live from Patrick Molloy's here in Hermosa Beach on this Tuesday night, June the 19th, 2018. Brad Dallius and Keith Jackson with you. Great to have you aboard as we kick off another week here at Behind the Mic. Good crowd on hand as we dive into a busy world of sports as usual. The Dodgers are going for 6 straight series wins, Keith. Doing pretty good here. 12-3 after today's. They won the first part of today's doubleheader at Wrigley. They're going for the sweep tonight. We'll keep you posted on that and just talk all this season. A lot of drive from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. We're going to speak at 7:35 with Christian Rivas. We had him on a couple months ago on the program talking a little Lakers from Silver Screen from A. We'll get Christian's thoughts on some of the news that broke over the weekend with Kawhi Leonard saying that he essentially wants out of San Antonio. LA. 7:35. Second hour, we'll check in with Dave King, who he calls in. He's the managing editor from Bright Side of the Sun, talking about the Phoenix Suns and their number 1 overall pick in Thursday's draft. What are they going to do? Are they going to go DeAndre Ayton? Do they go Marvin Bagley? Maybe someone else, maybe a sleeper. We'll get his thoughts on it in hour number 2 just past. Lots to get into tonight. You can listen online, of course, behindthemicshow.com. Download the Behind the Mic app as well. Let's talk about the Dodgers, though. First, Keith, how are things going? How was the weekend before we get into the boys in blue? How is everything going?
Things are going great. Watched a little bit of the World Cup lately. There's been some great games, very entertaining.
Unpredictable, right?
Yeah. What? Great. Some good things to come, and it was really a more relaxing weekend for me.
Those are the best. Sometimes.
Those are the best. So that was great.
Awesome. You can't beat that. It was warm today. It was kind of weird. We're getting a little bit of the June gloom now. It was great. A week ago.
You jinxed it.
Yeah, I probably did, right? Even though I knocked on wood, it was still there was no way to get around it, but it's still better than a lot of other weather situations that we could be facing right now. So not bad overall.
Yeah, not bad. But it'll brighten up. Hey, June is June. Still not going to stop people from going to the bars, hanging out next to the beach. You'll still see that, and so that doesn't stop. You're going to keep going. So, but July is going to be the time. That's going to be a great time. Nice weather.
Oh yeah, always, right?
Yeah.
Hard to believe 4th is coming up in just a couple of weeks, and then everything else that July has to offer right after that. July, the All-Star Matt Kemp, by the way, doing great in the All-Star game.
For the Diamondback on the way, and it's just about who can really sustain that and who can continue to ride that wave and put some wins together. So, some ball clubs can do that. We thought the Dodgers were in that situation where it was like, hey, it was getting scary for us. So, but you're looking at it now. Everybody. And you're looking at it now, and you're seeing that, they have sustained that. Those guys have stepped up. Yasiel Puig is kind of like focused in, and he's done a good job. Matt Kemp has just been consistent throughout the whole entire way. I mean, he's just surprised. Yeah. He's kind of surprised everyone. And then, like I said, and then when you go down the line, the other guys, it's the same thing. So, look, if they can continue this, I think they'll be just fine. And I think they just, in the month of June, right now they're playing perfect. They're probably like 80%. They're an 80% team right now in the month of June. In terms of not a 500 ball club, they're about 80% right now.
No, they've flipped the script big time.
If they can keep that consistent, even out through the break, that's what's going to be key. Is they have that break when they go into All-Star and then they come back. If they can keep it up, Dodgers will be fine.
1-1 Dodgers are tied with the Cubs right now as they play at the middle of the 8th in Game 2 of that doubleheader from Wrigley today. Rich Hill, I mentioned, just coming back for a start, coming off the DL in a month. Not too bad. 6 innings pitched, only gave up a couple of hits, no earned runs. Very impressive start for Rich Hill coming off of that injury, and so far they're being able to hold down a very potent potential Cubs offensive lineup. So we'll keep tabs on that game from Wrigley Field. The Angels, you were at the game last night down in Anaheim, Keith.
Yeah.
Taking on the Diamondbacks.
Good game, man.
How was that?
It was a good game. you know, the Diamondbacks jumped out. You can see why they're a good ball club. Like, they jumped out on the Angels, and it took a while for the Angels to respond. They grinded it out towards the end. They actually came back in that 7th inning. The Angels tried to make a play in the 7th inning, and who hit it? I think it was Pujols? Pujols hit a home, was going for a home run.
I saw that, yeah.
And
he kind of had the higher socks last night, a little different, mixing it up, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like, there was one play where they was coming back. This was actually going to tie the game up. And I forgot the outfield center fielder's name for the Diamondbacks, but he made a hell of a play. He jumped and, I mean, just grabbed it right out the air. It was over the fence, and he grabbed it.
Crazy.
It was definitely, that was ESPN moment. And that really saved the game from that. And then, you know, so.
Little top 10.
Yeah, it was definitely top 10. So, you know, the Angels did all right, but they're going through injuries too, and there was rumors around the stadium that Ohtani is done. He's going to surgery, and going to have that surgery, and he's pretty much his season ending. But I don't know how true that is, but there was rumors going around about that. But hey, the Angels still, they have to make the playoffs, man. I mean, I've been really on that.
Even without Ohtani, they've got enough. They've got enough to do it, and we're still only in June here. And although that's tough news to kind of swallow.
Yeah, but they got to.
I think people in Anaheim and beyond are still confident that this team can continue to push through.
They can push through, and they got players, man. They got Mike Trout, who's playing out. He's
closing in on 1,000 games. By the way,
he was very quiet through the game, but he made a big play, a leadoff, in that 9th inning to really try to get them to come back. But he was quiet. It was quiet. It was a quiet night for him. But when you look at it, the Angels have a chance. They got to me, I'm just like, look, they have to make the playoffs this year. And right now they're what? They're 2.5. They're 10.5 out of first place. So that's pretty tough.
They're looking at the wild card at this point.
That's pretty tough to swallow. But, yeah.
Seattle's been on a roll. That's been the problem. Seattle's looked really good. The Mariners have played great baseball, and it's going to be a little tricky for the Angels to get back into the AL West race. But luckily we have that beautiful thing called the wild card. Yeah.
Hopefully they can get in there, man. I'm pulling for them. And we'll see. We'll see what happens.
It's also 1-1 right now. Angels and the Diamondbacks currently tied as they play top of the second. I mentioned Mike Trout closing in on 1,000 career games with the Angels, so we'll keep tabs on that one. Hey, it's Taco Tuesday tonight here at Patrick Molloy's. However you like it, steak, carnitas, whatever it may be, they've got it all here in addition to their great pizzas. Half off the Pacifico Corona buckets, tequila, you name it, Keith. They got it covered from food to drinks and everything beyond here at Patrick Molloy's.
I've had it all, and it's all great food here. Service is great, and what more? It's the best place. What better place not to do a sports show here in Pat Molloy's, right on the pier?
Not many places top it.
Yeah,
not in Hermosa Beach.
Great. It's a great place, and they're doing a lot of great things here. So come on down.
Coming up, we'll speak with Christian Rivas from SB Nation. That's after the break. It's Behind the Mic.
Every 17 months, make a wish makes the impossible possible.
This is about basketball, right?
Dragon. They bring Saturn to Earth. They help superheroes save entire cities. They even make unicorns fly. All to give children the strength they need to fight their critical illnesses.
Hello.
Hey, Christian, it's Brad. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
Doing great. It's great to have you on tonight. Sorry, we just missed you there by a second, but glad I was able to get you back. Keith's with me. Keith Jackson, my co-host.
Hey, Chris, how you doing? I don't know if you can hear me.
Hey, how you doing, Keith?
All right, nice to meet you.
We're in the middle of a Christian. We'll 2 minutes or so, and we'll go right to you. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you.
Each year, the Fair Food Bank of waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Kids should be
In this, with where promises are kept, over enemies of oneself. This is a physical trap. Every marine battle's won.
Everybody.
Council.
Welcome back, Mike, live here from Patrick Molloy's in Hermosa Beach, online at BehindTheMikeShow.com, also available on the Behind the Mike app, streaming live right now on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope as well. So plenty of places to catch Behind the Mike. Really no excuses at this point, Keith.
Absolutely, absolutely. A great place to be. And I'm ready to go. Let's get to it.
Let's talk a little basketball now. Let's bring in Christian Rivas from SB Nation. He's the senior writer for the Silver Screen and Roll blog. Follow him on Twitter at @RadRivas. Christian, how are things going tonight, man? Thanks for joining us here on the show.
To do it again.
If you Lakers off season, what we've seen so far, what's to come, Stu, in the next several weeks or so into the rest of the summer, if you could sum it up in one word, what it's going to be, what would you make that word be?
Chaos. I think it's going to be. It's either going to be the best thing to happen to the Lakers fans in years, or the worst thing to happen to them in years. Which I guess quite some time, and they set this summer up to be this, grand finale of sorts. And if they don't cash in on it, it's going to be a really bad look for the Lakers. But I think it can go either way, and the fact that they even have the flexibility tells you where those are.
It's so, should the Lakers pull on this deal, you take all day with the.
So I have seen this rumor floating around, but I don't know if there's any legitimacy behind it. With no offense to the reporter that put it out there, I see no reason for them to want to move Lonzo or Deng until they know exactly what's going to happen this summer. I could totally see young guys being moved if LeBron signs on, because you saw what he did with Andrew Wiggins in Cleveland.
Exactly.
LeBron's which is crazy to say that 15 years into the league, he's still in the prime of his career. But that's just the case with LeBron. And he's going to want to go to wherever he goes and, build a contender. And if that's the case, I can see guys like Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma, Josh Hart, guys like that I can see being moved. But it's harder to find a franchise point guard, especially in free agency, when they're going to be capped out going after guys like Paul George, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard. If those are the moves they make, that's going to be their team for the next few years. And with a team like that, you need a point guard, even with somebody of LeBron James' playmaking caliber. So I don't, of all the young guys that could be moved, I think Lonzo Ball is the least likely to be moved if any of those guys come.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's very interesting, because we've debated that a bit here on the show, Christian, and some people are somewhat split on it, but at this point I think you could make the case that everybody on this team is fair game, except maybe Kyle Kuzma. A lot of fans are somewhat in love with him from what he did, and rightfully so, had a great rookie year. Outside of Lonzo Ball, who is somebody that you would have no problem with them moving at all? Or maybe it is Lonzo.
Yeah, so I think the easiest person to move would probably be Brandon Ingram, only because of which not to knock on Ingram, because when the Lakers drafted Ingram in 2016, they knew that he was going to be a project, because he came into the league, pretty underweight for a guy his size, 6'9". And the 2 years he's been in the league now, he showed improvement but not at the same level as, Kyle Kuzma did his rookie season, or defensively Lonzo Ball did last season. He hasn't shown that he has an elite skill yet. So I think it's easy to sell teams on his upside because he hasn't shown anything yet, but it also makes him the most expendable. Other than that, I think guys like Josh Hart, Thomas Bryant, the guys taken later in the draft can be moved, but I think Josh Hart is an undervalued player on the roster. I think you need guys like Josh Hart that can, guys with high intangibles that can make the right plays. I think guys like that on a team are extremely valuable, especially on contenders. So I'd say probably Brandon Ingram, but Kyle Kuzma is in the conversation as well. Despite him having a breakout rookie season, there's still legitimate concerns about his defense and his shot selection. So we'll see what they do, but those are the two guys I keep an eye out for.
Yeah, Christian, well, it's just interesting because, I've had discussion with many people before, and, I've been listening to reports and things like that, but, the only valuable guys that the Lakers really have is Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma, and Lonzo Ball. I mean, Josh Hart, let's be honest, Popovich does not like the Lakers. He's never, he doesn't. He's down for business, but he doesn't like the Lakers. He's not going to do anything that's going to be valuable, what's going to benefit the Lakers more than benefit the Spurs. If you look at it, he was mad back then when Pau Gasol was, when we got Pau Gasol, when the Lakers got Pau Gasol from Memphis, he was upset about that. So I can't see, I really can't see, someone like them pulling Josh Hart or something like that. I think you'll have to give up a Brandon Ingram or a Kyle Kuzma, Alonzo Ball, or something like that in order to get a Kawhi Leonard or that type of valuable player. And the Magic just come out and said nobody on this team's safe. So it's just going to be interesting, to see, like you're saying, Christian, because you look at it, those are the only really the three valuable players that the Lakers have. Do we agree with that?
I've seen reports saying that it might take all three guys you mentioned, Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma. But I think people are undervaluing the leverage that Kawhi Leonard's camp has. Because you look at a similar situation with Paul George last year, and you have Paul George saying that he wants to play in Los Angeles, preferably for the Lakers. Teams that traded for him knew that was going to be a possibility. And we're seeing going into the summer right now that, even though he built relationships with Sam Presti in the Thunder front office and playing with Russell Westbrook, those relationships are there. But the Lakers are still heavy favorites to sign Paul George this summer.
Yeah.
And if you're a team looking at Kawhi Leonard, you got to be thinking the same thing. If you trade Kawhi Leonard, are you getting him for 1 year, or are you looking at a guy that's going to sign an extension with the team? And if he does sign that extension, he's leaving a lot of money out on the table. So you're going into the summer with an unrestricted free agent in Kawhi Leonard, knowing that he's had, ties to the Lakers in the past, saying that he wants to play there. So I think it's unlikely that it would take Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, and Kyle Kuzma. And if the Spurs ask for that, I think the Lakers pass, and you can see a team like Boston or Philadelphia deal for him and gamble on him, with possibly leaving in 1 year.
Does Magic have the most pressure on him this summer, Christian?
I think it's, I guess you can say he might, because when he came to the Lakers organization in a consultant role, he was angling for that president job. He made it very clear that when he came to the organization, he wasn't going to be playing second fiddle to anyone. Even when Jim Buss held the position, his goal was always to be team president, and he got that. And so far, so good for him. But he's also been the one that's been the most vocal about how confident he is to sign two max players this summer, which is good. I think all general managers should, think with that mindset that their team can bring in players. But when you're as boastful about it, and when your intentions are made clear going into the summer, I think it does put a little added pressure on him and Rob Pelinka to a lesser extent.
Christian, I want to talk to you about, what do you think the Lakers are going to pick up? I was thinking, I looked at somebody, a potential person, Giannis Antetokounmpo's brother, Kostas Antetokounmpo. Do you think that he will be available at the time the Lakers pick? Because when you look at things and what's going on there, I hear Grayson Allen had a great workout with them, but I don't know. I don't know if I know Kostas. He's had a lot of people. He has had over 100 people at his workout. A lot of people are high on his potential of his brother Giannis. And I know the Lakers are high on Giannis. They like Giannis, but that's kind of like a long road. That's another guy that they want to make a play at, but that's something that they want to make a play on later down the road. But if to pick up someone like his brother instead, what do you think that would be ideal? Do you think he will be available for the Lakers this upcoming draft?
So I think their direction going in the draft is going to be shooting and defense and guys that can switch on defense. Because you look at the type of players or the type of players that had success with the Lakers last season, like Josh Hart, who had a really valuable role last season, and Brandon Ingram. These are guys that can switch on to players when they need to. It's a really switchy team. The weakness in that team last season, though, and probably the reason they didn't make a stronger push for the playoffs, was the shooting. Even bringing in guys like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Brook Lopez, who were supposed to help space the floor, though their shooting, especially from the three-point line, was abysmal. And you hope that guys like Lonzo Ball and Brandon Ingram, who are really good shooters in college, that translates to the next level sooner rather than later. But they need shooting right away. So I think that's definitely going to be an emphasis going into the draft. I know there's guys like Dante DiVincenzo out of Villanova. They had really success with the Villanova guy and Josh Hart, and the way that program is run. Really high character guys out of that program. They've been linked to Mitchell Robinson, who skipped out in playing college ball completely and just waited the year to declare for the draft. I know the concerns with him, though, are the fact that he hasn't worked out for any NBA team. Nobody's seen him play competitive 5-on-5 basketball in a year. And, you can argue that the McDonald's All-American game isn't even a competitive basketball game.
Yeah, exactly. Come on.
So it'll be interesting to see which direction they go, but I'd keep an eye on prospects that can offer them defense and shooting.
That's interesting. The McDonald's All-American game. That's a good one, Christian. That really got me going. And by the way, we're talking with Christian Rivas from SB Nation, senior writer for the Silver Screen and Roll blog. Follow him on Twitter @RadRivas. What will it take this summer to be? It's almost like it's all over the place right now, right? As far as expectations go, from the fan base, the team itself, to the media, you name it. If we can kind of bring it all back home, sort of say, and just have one blanket expectation for this team this summer, what would it take for that to equal a success? What do they need to do this summer to be a success? Maybe if it's just necessarily one thing that equates to a success, what would it be?
It sounds like a very vanilla answer, but it's the answer is to get better. I mean, improve any way you can. They have a really strong foundation with the young guys they have on the team right now. I think I can see them, if they check out in free agency, bringing back guys that they had last year, like Brook Lopez, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, even Isaiah Thomas on a short 1-year deal as they prepare for the following summer when Kawhi Leonard does hit free agency. The slim chance Klay Thompson hits free agency. So I think all in all, they need to improve as a team, and they need to address the holes on the roster, starting with shooting. And if Brook Lopez doesn't do the Lakers as a team that push for the playoffs next year, leading. But there are several holes in the roster, but in all, they're in a really good position to compete next season. And as a fan, that's really all you can ask for.
Yeah, that's true. It's all we can ask for. But I get, Laker fans are getting a little restless now. They're a little more than that. But and I totally get it. This is This is an important draft for them, and it's about them getting better and stuff. But it's also it's also about them making some big moves. When you have big time players like LeBron James and you got Paul George, and you have a Kawhi Leonard who's they're wanting to come to LA. Now, I don't know how that's going to be possible because there's a lot of other teams that I believe that have a lot of more valuable assets that will benefit the Spurs more than anything. And I can't just see Popovich sending Kawhi Leonard over to the West. I can see he wants to send him over to the East. But besides that, Christian, what about DeAnthony Melton from USC, the 6'4", the 6'4", 190-pound sophomore they have? Of course, he pulled out playing. He couldn't play because of the FBI investigation and things like that. But ESPN had predicted him that the Lakers like him. What is your thoughts on him?
Melton's a guy that's really high on my draft board personally because, like you said, he was known for his defense at USC, and even at the NBA Draft Combine in Chicago, he showed really sharp defensive instincts. And when you look at pairing him with a guy like Lonzo Ball in the backcourt, that's going to be a nightmare for teams defensively because when he was healthy and when he was on the floor next season, Lonzo Ball was playing like first team all defense point guard. And if you look at ESPN's real plus minus, he ranked third among all point guards, not just rookie point guards, all point guards in real defensive plus minus. And again, it's a small sample size because he missed 32 games last season. But this is a guy that you really got to look at and say, even if his shot never falls, he has a really high floor because of how well he's playing on defense and his ability as a playmaker. And you add a guy like Melton to that mix, who kind of has a similar floor to Lonzo because he has really sharp defensive instincts. He can make plays for others. The biggest question mark is his shot. Yeah. And fans were, USC fans and basketball fans in general were hoping to see if Melton added that to his game over the summer. But as you mentioned, he was pulled out, or he took himself out of USC following that FBI controversy. So I think he has a really high upside as far as guards go in this draft. And his fit with the Lakers would be seamless, in my opinion. I know other guys late in that, late in the draft, because I think a point guard is a position of need for the Lakers in the draft because, they traded Jordan Clarkson for Isaiah Thomas, who's on an expiring contract, is gonna take the best offer that comes to him coming off of a hip surgery. So, DeAnthony Melton, Jerome Robinson out of Boston College, I think are two guys the Lakers are going to take, strong, long looks at. But DeAnthony Melton's the only one that worked out for them. So we'll see what happens.
I want to get back to Kawhi Leonard for a second because seemingly everyone just assumes that he's really healthy, and I would imagine the only team that really knows that for sure is the Spurs. Is there concern around the league, Christian, that maybe he's not 100% healthy, and are we maybe giving too much of the benefit of the doubt, especially from a Lakers perspective, that if they were to swing a trade here with San Antonio, that they can plug and play him? Are you concerned about his injury status too and where he's at? Because it's a big mystery. It's been that way from day one, and it continues to be that here now in June of 2018.
Yeah, that's definitely huge concern, especially when you look at the continuity the Spurs have had as an organization, with a lack of controversy in the organization. And then all of a sudden you have a guy like Kawhi Leonard who, goes down with a groin injury, and that's the last anybody's heard of it, is that it was just a groin injury and that they were managing his injury for him to play at as soon as possible. And like you said, we're in the middle of the summer now, and Kawhi Leonard, as far as we know, hasn't picked up a basketball or been on a basketball court since February, March. So I think teams are concerned. I know there were reports that the Lakers and the Clippers who are also reported to have some interest in trading for him, are concerned about his injury history and his current injury. But for a guy that can walk in 1 year, I think that's a risk worth taking, because at the very least, it doesn't work out and he's off your books within the next year. It's not like this summer where DeMarcus Cousins is going to be seeking a max contract of the worst injuries and Achilles tear. He's going to be handed out a large contract. I don't know if the Lakers are going to be that team, but whoever does, I think arguably that's the bigger question mark. But if you're looking at Kawhi Leonard for a year, or Kawhi Leonard, who is win MVP candidate every year. So, but basketball is better when everyone else is healthy, when everybody is on the floor. So I hope.
Christian, what do you, out of all the three, we've been talking about these three players, and everybody's been talking about them for weeks. LeBron James, Paul George, and Kawhi Leonard. Who's the one that the Lakers have the best chance of getting? And especially with the report that came out earlier today saying that it was less likely that the Lakers would get Paul George. Some report that came out about that. I don't know how much truth is, but who's out of those guys?
So I think that the easiest would be Kawhi Leonard, because they can put together the offer for winnable. But as far as free agent goes, I think Paul George is the more likely player to join because of his Kawhi at all at some point in the season. Going back to even 2012, a restricted has a chance to sign, and I think there's a good chance that he's playing. However, where it's on a throw Carmelo a player. If you're going to leave a situation like that, it needs to be because somebody. So to answer your question, Kawhi.
And thanks for your time.
On
The great Carnitas stay. That should be the motto, Keith.
Yes.
I'm making it the motto now.
Make it. Own it.
Welcome back online, BehindTheMicShow.com, Behind the Mic app as well, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. We'll continue with basketball now. The NBA draft coming up on Thursday from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. And to talk with us now about the number one team who's going to be making their first number one overall selection ever, Keith. They never made the number one overall pick before in the draft, that being the Phoenix Suns. Joining us now, Dave King, the managing editor of Bright Side of the Sun. He's been the managing editor since 2010, so he's been through the ups and the downs there with the Suns in Phoenix as we bring him on now here on Behind the Mic. Dave, thanks for joining us tonight. How are things going?
Oh, things are going great out here in Phoenix.
It's got to be hot, right? Is it reaching triple digits now consistently?
Oh, yeah. Just about every day it hits triple digits. Although, Sunday, I think, only got into the 90s because we got the rain on Saturday.
That sounds about right. Hey, Dave, as we sit here on Tuesday night, draft coming up in less than 48 hours, like I said, in New York, do the Suns know who they're going to take right now at number one?
Okay, I will say that I'm almost certain they know. We think it's going to be DeAndre Ayton from Arizona, who will be the number one pick, and we thought that for 6 weeks now since they won the draft lottery. But there's always that possibility that they know that they're going to take somebody else like a Luka Doncic, but I think that's a very small percentage. I think it's really, really heavily weighted toward Ayton.
Why is that, by the way?
Yeah.
Why DeAndre Ayton? Why are they so sold on him when you have other guys who are worthy of being drafted, namely Marvin Bagley? You talked about the guy from Europe there as well, with the connections to possibly the new head coach who's there with the Suns. Why are they so sold on DeAndre Ayton at this point?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I think the thing is that DeAndre Ayton checked just about every box you would want from the prototypical NBA basketball player. He's over 7 feet tall. He's 250 pounds already and only 19 years old. But he's chiseled. He's totally chiseled. He's got really good feet. He can slide left and right on the perimeter. He can guard, pick and roll when he's focused and when he's engaged in the play defensively. He can guard on the perimeter as well as at the rim. He's got a little bit of deficiencies in that he's never had to be much of a help defender and stuff, so he came up short a little bit of that in Arizona, at University of Arizona last year. But the guy is going to be a 20 points, 10 rebounds guy by January, maybe March, but definitely probably January. He's going to be putting up 20 and 10 a night, and he'll do that for the rest of his career, and he'll probably make several All-Star teams because of it. People talk about maybe he can't play against these small teams like Golden State. Oh, yeah, he can play against those teams. He definitely can, and it's just that there are centers who are limited offensively and can't make free throws that have to sit at the end of games. DeAndre Ayton will be able to make. He shoots 80% on free throws already. The guy is going to be a monster in the NBA.
Hey, Dave, why not Marvin Bagley? I watched Marvin Bagley been playing since he was in high school, and this kid right here, a tall guy who's very quick on the perimeter, can handle the ball. And in the game that we play now in the era, it's not a slow down game. Phoenix Suns, I don't know, they got a new coach and a new system, but most of the guys, they like a fast break. Devin Booker, those type of guys, they like to get down the court fast. You don't see a lot of that from DeAndre Ayton when he was over at Arizona. They kind of play more of a half court set type of deal and pick and roll, like you said. So he's good and he can do that. But why not a Marvin Bagley who can shoot from the perimeter, who's consistent from the 15-point, and can take you off the dribble? And he's as tall. He's not maybe as big and thick like DeAndre Ayton. Why not a guy like that?
The thing with Marvin Bagley is he's just not quite as big. So he's about 6'10" with a 6'11", 7-foot wingspan. DeAndre Ayton 7'1" with a 7'5" wingspan. So he can cover more ground. He can defend a lot better. Marvin Bagley is incredible. He's like a bigger Sean Marion almost in his skill set, but he's just going to be very good in the NBA. He just won't be quite as good as DeAndre Ayton, I don't think.
It's interesting. Obviously, like I said, this is the first time in the history the Phoenix Suns are going to pick number 1 overall. That big guy in the post, Dave, has always eluded them. So it's somewhat similar to the Cleveland Browns, what we saw in the NFL draft back in April. They got to hit on the quarterback, so to say, with the Browns. They needed to do that. That was in their conscience. Phoenix is looking to do the same with the big guy, you would assume, just because they don't grow on trees, as we all know. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. Number 1 overall.
The Suns have had a number 2 pick twice in their history. They have a 50-year history in the NBA. They picked number 2, as high as number 2 twice. The guys who went number 1 in those years are Lou Alcindor and David Robinson. The guys the Suns got were Neil Walk and Armin Gilliam. So I think part of this is that Suns fans and even the franchise itself wants to finally take that guy at the very top, and they want it to be the big center they've never, ever had.
Are you excited about the depth in this draft overall? Is it everything that it's been cracked up to be at this point from what you've seen with guys doing interviews, workouts, everything in preparation for this NBA draft? Is this as deep as we've seen in recent years?
Oh, absolutely. It's the way I would describe it is that there's some serious talent in the top 8. Any of the top 8 guys could be all-stars or multi-time all-stars in the NBA. There are going to be a few that bust out, that don't get quite that high. But of the top 8 guys, all the way down to Michael Porter Jr., they could make all-star teams, and that is not a common thing in the NBA draft. And so that's what makes the draft so good. But there's also guys who can be in the 9 to 20 range who could be very good. There's a huge depth in this draft, and I think it's probably going to turn out to be one of the best drafts since 2003.
You mentioned Phoenix is looking for that big center. They haven't had one since for a long time. Let's just say that.
Stoudemire, maybe.
Omari, yeah. And so And I'm glad you mentioned Amari Stoudemire, Brad, because I was just trying to think: are they trying to play a type of style of play with DeAndre Ayton? Because he's great with his back towards the basket. Let's just say that's where he does. Over the shoulder, he's great with his back towards his back. He's big and strong. Will they play a slow down game with this guy, or are they going to continue? Are you think they're going to play more of an up and down type of game with DeAndre Ayton in?
Yeah, I still think they're going to play a really up and down game. What I'd equate it to maybe is when Shaquille O'Neal played for the Suns for a year, and they called it 7 seconds or Shaq with Steve Nash as the point guard. They ran a lot, but anytime they got stuck into a half-court offense, they could dump it down to Shaq, and he could finish. And they had the number one offense in the NBA that year. They only came up short because Shaq was on the back end of his career, and he wasn't quite as athletic as he had been in the past. So I think it's just I think they're going to play both fast and slow, but they're going to be able to play. Once they get stuck in the midcourt, they'll be able to execute because of Aiden.
Dave King joining us from the Bright Side of the Sun, SB Nation blog, managing editor. Follow him on Twitter at Dave King NBA. Who's the most underrated player in this NBA draft, Dave?
Well, that's a good question. You could actually say that it could be one of these top 8 guys, like a Jaren Jackson Jr. may turn out to be better than anybody, but he also may just turn out to be a jack of all trades that cannot be a number one option. You could say a Trae Young might be underrated because he went from number one prospect to now he's maybe going to be late in the top 10, and that could be termed underrated. But really, there's always some guy you never would have guessed at draft time that turns out to be the best of the not quite the top guys. So we're not quite sure yet. But I am pretty excited about a lot of the guys in the draft. But you just don't know until they actually play in the NBA as to how good they're going to be.
What about Michael Porter Jr.? I want to talk about him a little bit because let's be honest, he's had reconstructed back surgery. He hasn't played in over basically a year. He had last year he had 3 games in there and he didn't look good at all. And then he re-injured himself. They're talking about he re-injured himself again. I think that's probably a play for him not to go, to a certain city. I don't know. But the fact remains is it dangerous to take this guy in the first round, knowing the fact that he had basically a really career-ending injury, and he didn't look good in an NCAA tournament those last 3 games. And so that's really what you're based on. He hasn't really been working out either. Now he's injured again. What do you think GMs are thinking in terms of taking him in the first round?
Yeah, that's a really good question because, like you said, he had an injury that everybody gets scared of. Any kind of back injury for a big man, people get scared of. But you know what? He could end up being the best player in this draft if he gets healthy. So what I make of him is I don't want to call him underrated because he's actually maybe right now a little overrated in terms of his impact as a rookie potentially. But I think he could definitely be really, really good in the NBA if he can get healthy. I love the way he can score inside and out. And he's just got so much talent. He makes me think of a slightly bigger Jason Tatum.
Yeah, that's true.
Are you a believer in Trae Young? Can he rebound here?
I love the offense that Trae Young brings. He's kind of like a mini version of a Steve Nash, where he's going to be able to shoot, he's going to be able to pass, he's going to be able to make shots from anywhere he wants to. He's going to wow people. He's going to make fans jump out of their seats, and then he's going to give up almost as much on the other end defensively that it's going to be hard to keep him in against the really, really good teams defensively. But so am I a fan of Trae Young? I have a worry that he'll be the next Monte Ellis type, more so, or someone like that who's really a great sixth man. I do have that worry.
Or better yet, Isaiah Thomas for that matter. I was thinking. I thought of him like an Isaiah Thomas. He can shoot anywhere. He can come off the screen, like you said. But defensively, that's where he lacks.
Is a great comp for him. Yep.
Yeah, defensively, he's just not there. So he's bulking up and everything like that. But I I don't know. What about? I was thinking about some other players down the line, like Newman from Kansas, the shooter. How's his workouts? Where do you see he'll lie in?
I'm sorry, can you say the names of those guys again? It's kind
Newman, Terrence Newman, the player from Kansas, the shooting guard? What do you think of him?
Gosh, you know what? I'm so sorry. I really can't hear it.
Okay, go ahead.
Are we talking?
So we're talking about James Newman.
James Newman,
from Kansas.
Oh, James Newman. I'm sorry. I thought that's what I heard, but I wasn't going to guess. I haven't really watched too much of James Newman. I think I didn't make it to. I don't think he came into Phoenix for a workout.
Okay.
So I wish I could speak more on him. I really do, but I really can't at this time.
Once again, I'm talking with Dave King joining us here on Behind the Mic. Back to the Suns franchise specifically, Dave, and obviously the importance of picking number 1 overall. There is pressure that goes along with that, especially if it's been quite a long time or maybe never picking number 1 like the Suns are. I'm curious in Phoenix to get a read on, because we don't talk to too many people from that market too much. I feel like it somewhat runs under the radar of a sports market. But what is the take right now on the Suns franchise and where they're at? Obviously, it's a pivotal point right now in the franchise history. And I almost get the sense, do Suns fans, do they almost miss the Mike D'Antoni era? Just because, obviously they never won a championship, never got over the hump, but yet he sold tickets with that offense, and Steve Nash and all the guys they were able to have during that era. Do fans miss that in Phoenix?
Absolutely. It's funny because toward the end of the Steve Nash era, when the Suns were fighting to just continue their run of making it into the playoffs year after year after year, but not being a real championship contender after that apex in 2007, it kind of just kept going downhill for a few years. Fans were actually saying that we need to bottom out and lose as many games as possible to get the top talent again and get back and become a championship team, and they were tired of playoffs. But now looking back on it, you get what you wish for. And fans would love to be annual first, second round exit team again. So definitely this franchise needs to get back into the playoff contention. The fans are losing a lot of their drive. They'll come back out of the woodwork as soon as the team is good again. And there's a lot of pressure on this franchise to make that happen.
And also to keep Devin Booker happy because, he's come out and said at the end of the season that he's just tired of not making the postseason. So is this really a critical time for them in terms of this year, in terms of next year, actually trying to make that post, or at least coming close to, for the simple fact that at least it'll shed some light in Devin Booker's eyes?
Absolutely. There is a thing about this new collective bargaining agreement that you cannot get the supermax after your second contract unless you're with the team that you were with at the end of your rookie deal. So what that means is that Devin Booker wants to get his supermax after 9 years in the NBA, he has to get traded in the next year, or he has to stay with the Suns the whole time. So that has a lot of pressure on the Suns to make him happy so he doesn't try to force a trade before the Suns get good again.
It's amazing. Yeah. A lot of things to play out. Yes. A lot of things to play out. We're looking forward to the draft on Thursday. Once again, NBA draft coming up. Barclays Center in New York Thursday night.
And I have one more question because I'm just interested in this. Do you think Devin Booker has a play in terms of who they pick as that first-round pick as well? Dave, do you think they have pretty much run it by him who he thinks they should pick?
I think they have to run it by him. I don't think you can expect Devin Booker to stay a happy camper if you don't make him feel like he's helping build the next team. So absolutely, he's got to be on board with who they pick.
Dave King, great insights here on Behind the Mic. He's got the pulse of everything going on with the Phoenix Suns, who they're going to take, who they're not going to take, coming up on Thursday night's NBA draft. Follow him on Twitter once again at Dave King NBA, managing editor of SB Nation's Bright Side of the Sun. Dave, thanks for your time tonight. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks for coming on the show.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right, I'll come back anytime. Thanks.
Yes, please do, right? Absolutely. No, great to have him on.
Yeah.
Great read. Like I said, I feel like Phoenix, obviously that much here on the show, and they haven't been in the media. I mean, it's the first time they ever had the number one pick. You look through that market right now, and the Diamondbacks are playing well, surprisingly, in baseball. But other than that, it's not much.
There's no spark.
No, there's not. They've kind of been irrelevant on the national stage, if I think about it, probably since the Cardinals.
Yeah, that's true. You're absolutely right. I think they have to get it right.
Yeah,
for the first pick.
That's what I'm saying. It's very similar to Cleveland.
It is
trying to hit on that quarterback.
It is, and I think I don't know this coaching style. I don't know what he likes to do, but he's a Euro guy.
Yep.
And typical, most Euro guys like to get up and down, shoot the ball, and they don't like to play set offenses. And with that said, I just don't think DeAndre Ayton is that type of player.
Doesn't look that way.
I haven't
based off what we saw at Arizona.
Yes,
it doesn't.
I haven't seen that in him, and to me, it just makes a lot more sense to go with the guy who's, like I said, Marvin Bagley, who is 6'10", who can handle the ball, who can take you off the dribble. He's not as big and strong as you, but he's a more finesse type of guy, and he can shoot the three, and I just think that's the type of style that they will play. But I don't know. I'm not the GM for that matter, and I'm the outside looking in, and so the way I look at it, I would think that will probably be the better pick for them. And let's just call it what it is. For winner, when you go to a franchise, you want guys to come in who has won, who's been successful. The Arizona, I would think, they were the number one team in the Pac-12. It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense that they get bounced out in the first round, or a wild card for that matter. That shouldn't happen. And when you have a player like DeAndre Ayton, who's the guy that they said sometimes he'll take plays off or he just doesn't focus. I mean, Dave even said it. He's like, when he's focused, when he's focused, he can play well.
That's the immaturity aspect that's still really prevalent here.
When you get in this league, you got to be focused every night.
Oh, yeah.
You got a job to do. And to me, that's something you shouldn't have to worry about. And I just think, like, those type of things go a long way than just talent and physicality and how big you are and things like that. I think that's more of a longevity type of thing.
Agreed. When I look at DeAndre Ayton, I see the potential of a lot of good things, but then also I see a bigger guy who's got the potential, can put a lot of mileage on him. Those guys sometimes can tend to break down, i.e. Greg Oden. I see maybe a little bit of Greg Oden in him, potentially.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Greg Oden, very good at Ohio State in college, great college career, arguably got him to a national championship game, but we all know not much after that in the NBA. Nothing really panned out with all those knee injuries. It was unfortunate. When I see DeAndre Ayton, that's probably the closest thing I can equate him to, is a Greg Oden, where, again, a lot of potential, but I don't know if I take that high risk factor. I don't know if I take the roll on the dice on that one.
And look, he may be a lot of talent. He may be good and everything like that. But I have to disagree with Dave on one thing. He's not better than Marvin Bagley.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
You look at his game, and like you said, Keith, he's a proven winner. I mean, that number one is huge in itself. But how he's able to go inside out. He can shoot down low in the paint. He can go outside. DeAndre Ayton's not doing that, and DeAndre Ayton's game, let's put it this way, is not going to evolve into that.
No.
Most likely not.
No.
Whereas Marvin Bagley already has that aspect and is only going to improve on it.
Yeah.
He's my guy. I know we've been on board with this since day one.
Since day one. I think he's the guy that I would think they would select. But, look, it all depends on where Phoenix wants to go in terms of what type of style and system they run. It's what's going to best fit your system. And this is a new coach coming in. A lot of people don't know too much about him. He's been successful in the European game, but like I just said earlier, historically, European coaches and European stuff, they play like D'Antoni plays. And if they want to get back to that, then I think that's not the right person to get is DeAndre Ayton.
And that's why there were some whispers initially when he became the head coach and they were granted the number one pick in the draft after the lottery that maybe they would kick the tires around on Luka Doncic.
Yes.
From Slovenia. Maybe they would. But, that could be a flash in the pan with what he's doing right now. They just won the championship over there. You might have saw He's only 19 years old. He's averaging over 20 points a game.
He's a great player, but let me tell you, I watched him play, and I have to agree with one person who's put it well, Gilbert Arenas. I don't really agree with everything he says, but he knows basketball.
Yes.
That's one thing he does know, and he said he's great. He's a great player. I wouldn't put him in the top 5 though. He's very slow. He's slow. He's a slow player. He can shoot the ball. He come off the screen. He can shoot and all that, but he's slow. And the league is very fast paced, and you got to get faster. You know, Ricky Rubio was a special guy. One thing about him, he came from that Euro. He came off the. He was a quick player. He can move. He was stronger. He can pass the ball. He wasn't known for his shooting. This guy is, and I don't know. Like, you have Devin Booker already as your solid shooter. Maybe you put him on the other end and guard. I don't know. Who knows? This guy looks like he has to have the ball in his hand a lot too. But he's not a great coming off the dribble. He's very slow at what he does. And in the league, you got to be this fast. It's quick and fast. So I have to agree with Gilbert on that end of things. And that's why I say out of the 3 guys, that Marvin Bagley makes the most sense.
Yeah, he does. He does the number 1 overall. And you talk about drafting European players. I can't do it in the top 10 personally if I'm picking. I just can't, because you go through history. You mentioned Ricky Rubio, Dirk Nowitzki, obviously, Kristaps Porzingis. Those guys, they don't grow on trees.
No, they don't.
It's so rare that you're able to hit on those type of draft picks, getting those guys in the top 10. That's why I wouldn't go the route yet with Luka Doncic. I just wouldn't do it quite yet in the top 10.
And he's come out and said that he's possibly wants to go back and play back in the room, back with his team. Even if he gets drafted.
I would too, considering I just won a championship there and I'm comfortable in that scheme. The NBA is obviously the dream, but
I would be nervous about selecting him. And why have that on your contract? You got the number 1 pick.
That's just it, exactly, right? This is going to be a fun draft on Thursday. Much more exciting than... I'm trying to think back. I mean, there was excitement the last couple of drafts, especially with the Lakers going Brandon Ingram 2 years ago, and then Lonzo Ball last year. But as far as the depth with this draft, this is good. I mean, Dave was saying it could be the best since 03. Time will tell on that one, but that's some strong praise there initially.
That's some strong praise, but I can go as far as the Kobe Bryant, Ray Allen.
96?
96.
Yeah.
You could Allen Iverson. I mean, let's. There's no one compared to that draft, but I think that's a strong. It could be close to that.
Could be.
You know, they have a lot of talented players this year, but again, it also could be a bust, and you just don't know. Some of these players, some of these teams are going to make so many moves. You'll be surprised. I'll be really surprised to see some trades go down off these draft picks this year.
Everyone is searching for who? Not guys who are in the top 3, but everyone's searching for that next Donovan Mitchell.
Yes.
Or Terry Rozier.
Exactly.
Jason Tatum.
And those come a dime a dozen.
Yep.
You know? So hopefully you got to get it right the first time, and I think that's the part of recruitment and knowing these guys and see what they play. And, there's a lot, like you said, there's a lot of players. There's players that are college players, and there's players that are NBA players. And that's what the Phoenix Suns are going to need. They need an NBA-ready player right now, right away. And so we'll see.
Lakers pick 25 overall. It's going to be tough to get. There's value to get in the mid-20s.
Yeah.
They're not going to get some of these guys who are going to go really early, obviously, in the top 10 or so. But there's value there. No one's really talking about the Clippers and who they could pick up. They pick around 13, I believe, 12, 13. The Clippers do. They're going to get somebody in that spot.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see what Jerry West has up his sleeves.
And he's going to have something up his sleeve. That's the thing about him. You have to – every team needs to be watching what the Clippers does because of Jerry West. Jerry West has an eye for players.
He's
he doesn't
literally
say much.
Propelling that whole franchise, propping it up.
He does not say much.
Yep.
They're going to put the ball in his hands and say, let go. Go with it. We're going to follow you. And he's going to lead. Look. That's going to be a team. You got to look over your shoulder and see what he's doing and see who's coming in there and working out for them because Jerry West knows some players. Let's understand something. We can go back to the great Kobe Bryant and him getting He had him go in, work out for a little bit, and said shut down the workout. Said okay. we've seen enough.
That's it.
And that's it. And from there, he made his play on his guy, and wow, what a way he did that. Like, to give up Vlade Divac, and people was like, he went with this guy who's coming fresh out of high school. And look, come to find out, Kobe Bryant's one of the greatest players ever played the game. So you got to watch what Jerry West did. You see what he did over there at Golden State. He's built some players there as well. So you got to watch and see what he does. He knows basketball, of course. That's why he's called the logo, and the logo's, that's what he is. So
it speaks for itself.
Yeah, it does. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Clippers do as well.
Good stuff there from Dave King, once again, managing editor of Bright Side of the Sun on SB Nation. Also, Christian Rivas. Great chatting with him in hour number 1, talking about the Lakers. I want to get back to the Kawhi Leonard discussion, Paul George, LeBron, trying to acquire some of these guys this summer. Because, again, if you're just joining us when we talk with Christian, we asked him, what's maybe going to be, what's something you could bank on, or what's going to be the easiest acquisition to make from some of these guys. He said Kawhi. And shocking to me, when it came out over the weekend that he wants to come to L.A., he wants to play preferably for the Lakers, he wants out of San Antonio. I thought that's actually probably going to be the hardest thing for them to do, is to acquire him at this point in time. Yeah. Just because of, we talked about that dynamic with San Antonio not really wanting to ship him to the Lakers, the dislike, want to keep him, if they're going to send him anywhere, I want to send him preferably out of conference. So I thought this is probably the toughest thing, because I really think Chris Paul, shoo-in. Yeah. LeBron James, almost close to being a shoo-in to the Lakers. I really believe that at this point, just with the reports that we've seen, with the family aspect that we were talking about on and off the air so far tonight, Keith. I think that's going to play a huge role in this. And the fact that, specifically them trying to court LeBron, he knows he's not winning next year anyhow, anywhere, unless he goes to Golden State, in my opinion. That's it. Yeah. That's the only place he knows he's going to win.
And what's interesting, he's going to talk to Golden State. I'm just like, well, what? But just as we're talking about Kawhi Leonard, something just popped up that Greg Popovich is traveling to California right now to go intend to meet with Kawhi Leonard, which everybody's like, that's lost. He didn't take the $31 million and this and that. He's not going back to the Spurs. I disagree. I think Popovich he's such a well-respected coach in this game that every time he talks, you got to listen. And I just don't see, if you're playing ball and you're a basketball player, you're a real ball player, it's something about a special coach. You don't get too many of those. The Phil Jacksons, the Jerry Sloans of the world, the Pat Rileys of the world. When they talk, you listen. And it's just going to be interesting to me. It's hard to gain from Kawhi because he's not an emotional type of guy. But it's interesting. You obviously see he was very upset with the Spurs. I think it's a long shot. I don't think it's the easiest route to go. I'm sorry.
For the Lakers.
Him. I think it's a certain long shot. I don't even think we're going to get him this summer. I think it's going to be something where the Spurs are going to play this out until February. And then they'll wait. They'll sit and wait.
Does he sit out?
I don't think he does. Let me tell you why he doesn't sit out. He doesn't sit out because it looks bad on him. It's already looked bad at the fact that he wasn't there.
Well, that's what I was going to say. He's already kind of checked off that box, looking bad with not traveling with the team to certain playoff games, being on sometimes the other side of the country when they're battling it out in some of these tough locations to play and try to advance. So he's already gone past that to me.
Yeah, he has. But let me tell you, and when you've gone past that, those are the type of things that's going to raise eyebrows to other teams that want you, including the Lakers. Because if things don't go your way, what happens?
See, to me, though, I know what you're saying, but to me, at the end of the day, I want guys who have the ability to put my franchise over the top. I want talent. You don't have to be the best overall guy. Yeah. I want guys who are going to win.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm going to sound like Mike Singletary, but I want winners.
And exactly. You got to also look like this, though. Kawhi Leonard's the top 3 players in the league.
Yes. Arguably the best two-way.
Do you really think that the San Antonio Spurs are going to give up the top 3 player in the league for Brandon Ingram, a potential person, and Brandon Ingram or Kyle Kuzma, and Alonzo Ball, who they don't need because they have Murray and they have They have Tony Parker, they got Murray,
Patty
and they got
Mills.
Patty Mills. Do you really think they need Lonzo Ball? No, they don't. Like, that's top 3 player. There's so much more they can get from some other team than from the Lakers giving up those guys. So that's what I'm saying. I think that's more of a long shot than anything.
I saw packaged, like you said, guys like Lonzo, Luol Deng packaged, also Brandon Ingram, plus the Lakers' 25th overall, plus a future draft pick.
That's not going to benefit the Spurs, though. That we're talking about the top 3 or number 1 or the best two-way player in the league.
But he doesn't want to be there, though.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is, even though he doesn't want to be there, he's not controlling that. He's not controlling what they do. It's going to be the Spurs are going to say, look, we're going to look out for us, and we'll make the decision where you're going to go. Look, I don't care. It's what's going to benefit the Spurs, not Kawhi Leonard. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and
so
they're going to give out that persona at least at first because they have to. They have to. But I think eventually history tells us in these type of situations that we've seen, not only in basketball but other sports, usually the team kind of gives in to the player's request ultimately. Look at Cleveland last year. You can make the case that they were way better off with Kyrie Irving than without him. Look at the finals this year.
Yeah, but they
still gave in to his request to be traded.
Yeah, his request to be traded, but they didn't. He didn't control where he wanted to go. You get what I'm saying? They had valuable assets.
Okay, so you're talking specifically about the Lakers specifically.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. Specifically about the Lakers, I can't see them just saying the Lakers is the team that I'm going to trade him to because he wants to go to the Lakers. I can't see that happening.
Yeah, I guess the difference is that Kawhi has the ties to L.A. and he's verbally expressed going here, whereas Kyrie Irving just said, just get me out of Cleveland. Yeah. I don't care where it's at, or at least he didn't make that public. Maybe it was private, I don't know.
Yeah.
But you see what I mean? Usually they give in to the player's request ultimately. Look at it this way. It's a bad look if he comes back and basically just, is this guy who, like you just talked about a moment ago, either if he chooses to sit out or if he chooses to be disassociated with the team, whether that be directly or indirectly, that's a bad look for San Antonio. Yeah. It reflects bad on him, but ultimately it's going to look bigger because he's just one player and the organization is a whole. You know what I mean? It's going to look bad on them for being a part of that.
Yeah.
Plus the fact that we still don't know everything that happened internally there with the quad injury and how it was mishandled, and we assume that's a big part of the frustration that's leading toward this for Kawhi. But we don't know the full extent of it.
But Brad, you know what? I think it's not. I think that's not the big issue. I think that the quad, they're making it because that's what came out in public. We got to remember, Kawhi Leonard was unhappy with the Spurs 2 years ago. He was unhappy with them 2 years. This is 2 years ago. He has not been unhappy being in San Antonio. So this is not something new. This is something that's an ongoing thing.
Well, the quad injury, public. 2 years ago. When did the quad injury initially? When did he suffer the injury?
He suffered that injury last year. That wasn't 2 years ago. 2 years ago, remember he had his quad injury. You remember he had the ankle injury. The ankle injury came with Zaza Pachulia. That was last year. Was that last year?
That was 2 years ago.
Golden State first round when they played the Spurs.
That was
was that the 2 years ago?
Might have been 2 years ago, that one.
Okay, well that was the injury there. The quad happened this year.
So the quad was this year. Ankle was last year.
Ankle was last year.
Injuries in general.
Yeah, injuries in general. But he's just been but it's been reported that he's been unhappy for the last 2 years with the Spurs. So I can't see that. And on the flip side, Kawhi Leonard doesn't have a true agent. His agent is his family, his uncle.
Really?
Yeah, he doesn't have a true agent. So it's hard to. That's why everybody's like in a whirlwind because it's hard to gain. Yeah. Of like what the heck is going on. Like, you know what I mean?
It's been very tight-lipped.
Yes, it has been. They've done a great job doing that. But I think it's how it all come out, and we'll see. I think Greg Popovich is going to have a plan. He has a plan. He's going to talk to him. Kawhi will listen. And ultimately, look, if he just wants to be with the Lakers, and that's great. I mean, he said he wants to be in L.A. He wants to be home, I guess, and that'll be all great and whatever. But I just can't see, like I said, the Spurs specifically saying, okay, we're going to go to the Lakers because Kawhi Leonard wants us to go to the Lakers.
Not at first.
Not at
I
first.
agree. Ultimately, though, if that's what it takes and that's what he wants, and if he doesn't sway away from that, I think they will give in to the request ultimately. But like I said before, if I'm a Lakers fan, Kawhi Leonard, and if I'm the front office, Kawhi should not be the priority of this team this summer at all.
No.
Because, again, just treat it as the Paul George situation from last year. Okay, if I don't get him this year, I'll get him next year as a free agent.
And let's say this. Kawhi Leonard could say, all right, they can give him to Kawhi Leonard. What if Kawhi Leonard's not happy in 1 year with the Lakers and decide to go back to the Spurs?
That's why I'm in no rush if I'm the Lakers.
And screw them that way. And now you gave up Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma, or whoever over there, and now they got Kawhi Leonard back. Like, that's possible.
Yeah, it's possible if LeBron doesn't come
and,
here.
and I think that's the play that they pick. I'm telling you. LeBron James, I can still see LeBron going to it. LeBron wants to win. It's not about money. It's about winning rings. And it's always been that.
Here's the thing, though. His verse has already been written with that. 3 and 6 in the finals. He's never going to have an opportunity. He's not going to win 4 more championships. He's never going to get above 500.
But you got to remember, he's trying to catch Kobe Bryant. He's trying to catch MJ.
He's not going to get 5 championships.
But Steve. I can see he's got 3. He can try to get 2 more.
If he goes to Golden State, yes.
If he goes to Golden State, he can do that. But he can also look. If he goes to the Spurs, again, you got a year with Kawhi Leonard. So there's a chance, there's a shot you can get a championship there. Remember, championships, all of a sudden, all that personal and all upset about, everybody.
Oh, yeah, that goes away when you win.
That goes away.
But you're saying the scenario LeBron goes to San Antonio.
I'm saying LeBron goes to San Antonio with a Kawhi Leonard, LaMarcus Aldridge. You got a Tony Parker that's maybe got a year or 2 left. You got a Ginobili that say, you know what, hell yeah, I'm coming back for a year. He'll probably come back for a year. I don't know how well he's going to be.
Still don't think that's good enough.
You got a Danny Green who can shoot the lights out. Who remember how he lit up Miami when LeBron was over there. And then he's got guys that can make shots. You know, you got Patty Mills. You have players that can make shots. And then just to put the icing on the cake, I got a Hall of Fame coach who can X and O's, and I ain't got to worry about coaching. I can just worry about playing.
Yeah, I get.
That's a golden nugget right there.
Yeah, I get the Pop respect factor. He's been very, very successful, one of the most in the history of the game. I think the problems in San Antonio run a lot more deeper than what some people are expressing right now in the public. And I don't think the greatness of Popovich, although he is a great coach and has a great track record, that's not good enough, in my opinion, right now to cure what ails the Spurs as an organization. We don't know all those ailments of them. But to me, right now, I don't think he alone can be the guy that sells them as a team that we can turn things around. I just think it runs deeper. We still have to find out what those reasons are. But in my opinion, just viewing this as a spectator here, I don't think Popovich can solve these issues on his own. It runs deeper than him. And I just don't think Pop being a great coach sells LeBron James to the San Antonio Spurs. I just don't think it's good enough to do that. He hasn't expressed a lot of interest in that. And, I mean, we don't really see this a whole lot either, where guys have the opportunity to go and play for a great head coach. And obviously that leads into the thinking of he can go there. But still, I just think the fact that he's not going to win a championship next year anyhow, regardless of where he goes. So why not come to the Lakers? The ability to come to L.A. where, like I said, this is where the personal family aspect comes into play. If family wants to be here, wife wants to be here, kids, you name it. They want to be out here. He wants to be out here for other business ventures, entertainment, you name it. The weather, everything that goes along with it. Oh, by the way, I'll come on the Lakers, and if I can get this team in 2 years to maybe win a championship, that's cherry on top of the ice cream. And then I can, I can give my best. People talk about he's chasing rings. If he does that, he does not help his legacy at all. If he wants to get to where he wants to get to,
his legacy's already been written, though.
Like you said. It has been, but to me, in my opinion, the best way in which he can combat the naysayers, if he can go to a team like the Lakers and win a championship in 3 different spots. That's his best argument at this point in time, because just ring chasing in San Antonio and Houston, it's not going to do it, because number one, he's going to be burned out, because the only reason he's going to those places would be to win. Mm-hmm. I don't think that could be the sole focus. I'm hoping for his sake it's not the sole focus because he's going to be burnt out in 2 years and he's going to be done. And I think it's different if he comes here to L.A. I think it's a lot different. I think it's a lot different.
I don't know, man. I love your argument, but I just feel like, look, LeBron James has already written his legacy, number one. LeBron James has already proven to be a great player, one of the best players in this game. He's already done his unfinished business, which was to go to Cleveland and win a ring, bring a championship to the city. He's gotten 2 over in Miami. I really don't think he cares about anything else. But look, when you win championships, that's all you're thinking about is more. You don't think about, going to another franchise and be like, okay, we're just going to make this franchise great. And I'm in the back end of my career. If I'm in the back end of my career, I'm trying to win as much as possible because I'm trying to go out on a high note. I don't care about what people think. I am the greatest player in this game, in this era right now. I am. And what else more do I need to do? What else more do I need to prove? I don't need to prove anything to anybody. I don't owe anything to anybody. I don't think it's any legacy or whatever the case may be. I don't care what people say or anything because the bottom line is I won championships at other places in Miami. I brought one back to Cleveland. And at this point in time, it's about me and not about anything else. So I think it's okay for LeBron James to be a little selfish this year. It's okay for him to go wherever he wants to go because he's already done so much for this league. He's already done on and off the court. And to me, it really wouldn't matter from here on out. So, look, Lakers would be a great place for him to go. It's been told, Kobe Bryant and all those guys said, hey, don't make a play for him as much because, they may know something. Maybe the thing is LeBron James has probably already said, hey, don't worry about making a play for me. I may come. They don't need to just focus on other guys. It may be that. I don't know. But on the flip side, it may be something completely different. Maybe LeBron's thinking of a whole different direction. I'm trying to win more. I only got 5 years left or 3 years left in the league. I ain't got time to waste. And we're obviously going to see that when whatever decision he makes or if he's not coming back to Cleveland. It's like, look, I ain't got time to waste. I'm trying to win.
My point is that there's more pressure if he goes to a Houston or San Antonio than the Lakers. Because if he goes to Houston, let's say, they're expected to win next year. No questions about it. If they don't with him, it's an epic fail, and he only hurts his legacy even more so, Keith. If he comes to Lakers, no one expects them to even make the championship next year. It would really be going towards the following season they would really be gearing up for, in which you would figure at that point Golden State's run is probably going to be done as far as making championships and getting to the finals. That's going to be the year. So you know what I'm saying? Like next year, if he goes if he goes to a Houston or San Antonio for that matter, it's going to be win this year or bust. Not the case with the Lakers, so a lot more pressure. Talking about the Lakers, though, Magic Johnson, I brought it up earlier when we were talking with Christian. Because they have pushed all their chips to the center of the table, it's a must, I think, for the Lakers front office to sign LeBron this summer. I think it's a must. I think because they've put a lot of pressure on themselves by opening up these spots to make it work salary-wise. So you feel it's an epic fail
if they don't sign LeBron James?
I think it's a colossal disappointment. I think it's a colossal disappointment, especially from what you're hearing now, the chatter. Magic has, this is why the Lakers signed Matt. This is why the Lakers brought on Magic Johnson in this role.
Oh, yeah. Nobody wanted to play for Jim Buss. And as long as he was in office, no one was going to go over there. Now they brought Magic Johnson. They got Rob Pelinka over there, who's probably one of the best agents that's been out there. So
and my point is they brought him in for this type of moment in these next couple of weeks. He will earn every cent of what he's being paid by the Lakers, Magic Johnson, and Rob Pelinka for what they do in these next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Paul George, LeBron James. That's really what it is. That's the expectation, especially everything now, because expectations change always. Even if in some Lakers fans, let's say originally 6-7 months ago, they didn't think that they would really get LeBron James, or it was a pipe dream. Expectations change a little bit now. When you start hearing stuff in the media and the different reports in and around the team, different players around the league, different text messages being exchanged, that information being opened up to everybody, expectations change in the minds of fans. and expectations. I think Magic has wanted this. I think he has built up this narrative because he's going to be there, Keith, at that press conference when they sign LeBron James in July.
The problem is they got to figure out what they're going to do with that Luol Deng contract because that plays a big part of what they're going to do. That's what I'm saying. It's also going to be pretty hard for them to do that and get 2 max deal players with that Luol Deng contract. Somebody's going to have to leave. Somebody's gone. Julius Randle, we definitely think is gone, but someone's gone, and I think what you have to do when you look at it, you got to look at try to make a play of getting rid of that contract.
I think
or
they'll do
Lonzo has to go.
I wouldn't be surprised, Keith, if they make a move here on Thursday in the draft to dump that Deng contract. Luol Deng contract.
$37 million is a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. I wouldn't be surprised if they try and do something. I would imagine they're trying to package something now, maybe to get rid of Luol Deng's contract in conjunction with Lonzo Ball to trade him away.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're trying to do something with that now. I don't think the Kawhi Leonard thing is even in any kind of big-time talks at the moment. Anyhow, I think their attention is elsewhere to get rid of that Deng contract.
Isaiah Thomas, bringing him back has been very quiet. I have a close source saying that, it's not a strong possibility he'll be back, but we don't know yet. We still have to go to the table and see what's going on with that, but you never know. So, a lot of things change when it comes to the draft, and that's what we're going to see come Thursday. A lot of people move. I think everybody's kind of waiting on what LeBron James does first before they make moves. I think he's got to make the first move first before anybody else, before Paul George or before Kawhi Leonard. I think LeBron James has to make that first move, and then from there, they'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Because nobody's even doing. Chris Paul came out and said he's resigning with the Houston Rockets, and he's trying to
not a
recruit.
Huge surprise.
Yeah, we're not surprised about that, but. Also, you don't hear too much about Clint Capella.
No.
We don't know what's happening there. We don't know what happened with Trevor. Well, we heard Trevor Ariza. There was a report Trevor Ariza was going to go talk to Golden State, that's a big loss if that happens for Houston. Also, you got to. I mean, look, the way I look at it, I think Golden State knows something else, and Golden State's also trying to make a play for LeBron as well if they're going to talk to him, and. Hey, man, it's something he'll probably consider. I don't know. We'll see. Was it bad for his legacy, everybody says? Yeah, probably.
If he goes to Golden State?
If it goes to Golden State, it's a wrap.
I don't think I don't buy into the narrative that if he goes to Golden State, those rings don't mean as much. All rings are equal.
Yeah, all rings are equal. And
if I were him, I would probably go to Golden State.
I mean, it's
that 3-6 finals record is bad.
Yes.
That's killing his legacy in comparisons to Jordan and the all-time greats right
now. And again,
now.
I think he's just wanting, at the end of your career, you just want to kind of have fun. These are guys that he respects in the league and he knows very well. And Draymond and those guys, even though they're rivalries, they're your best friend when you're on your team. They do get along with each other.
They do.
So, I can see it. Look, and it does fit this style of play. Because now he really doesn't have to do much. He can go off the dribble and play the point, have Steph Curry too. He likes to pass the ball to the open guy anyway. He wants to get guys that can knock down shots.
Yep.
That's what he wants. That's the frustration he had over at Cleveland. He didn't have the guys that can knock down the shots. He would hit the open player, but they couldn't finish the deal. And he wants that, and he's going to need that. And he knows if he goes there, it's already there for him. So he can see that clear picture, You don't know what you're going to get over there at Houston because the fact that if they pick up a LeBron James, they're going to lose a Clint Capella. They're going to lose probably a P.J. Tucker or Eric Gordon or Trevor Ariza. They're going to lose something like that component, and that's going to be tough for him, like you said. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting to me, but it's really based on his move first. I think that's what it all comes down to. His move's going to dictate where Paul George ends up doing and then what the Spurs end up doing with Kawhi Leonard and so on.
Yeah, it will be a domino effect. Yeah. Absolutely will. Probably still looking at middle of July if we look back to what he did in 2010, 2014 with the different decisions in the past. Probably looking around, probably sometime between July 10th and 15th, I want to say. And you're right. My question is, does he definitely is the biggest thing that will start the domino effect, but does Chris Paul sign first somewhere?
Or
does he wait?
He waits.
Yeah, you think so too?
He waits because there's still a possibility. Look, they get rid of Lonzo.
I'm sorry, Paul George is who I really meant. Paul George. Yeah.
Paul George waits.
Yeah.
Paul George waits to see what LeBron James does. They're in talks. There's no doubt about that. They're in talks, and I think he waits. I think he waits to see what he does with the Lakers. Look, they're all out here in L.A., and we know that, and we'll just see what happens. Man, everybody says the Clippers are not. They could be talking to Clippers. We don't know. But I'll say this. They're all going to wait and see what LeBron James does. Paul George, all those guys. Paul George may mess around and say, well, if LeBron's going to go here, then I'm going to probably go back to OKC. I don't know. We'll see. I think it's just all based on what happens in the next couple of days in this draft. I think the draft is key, though. The NBA draft is key.
Coming up on Thursday night, it's going to be a lot of fun. By the way, 2-1 Cubs beat the Dodgers tonight. It's a final in 10 innings. So they split the day-night doubleheader. Tomorrow's the rubber game of the 3-game set. So Dodgers still trying to win that 6th consecutive series. They'll go at it tomorrow.
You said the Dodgers?
Dodgers.
That's some...
Not that.
All right.
Yeah, they've won every series here so far.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
By the way, I'm just looking at this now. They're running beer supply. By the way, 4-3 was the final earlier today in Game 1. Dodgers won. 2-1 here in Game 2.
Right,
just to clarify. The beer supply
I believe it.
Not that hard to believe.
I believe it. I definitely believe it. Hey, the World Cup, man, you got to follow the World Cup. It's been great games going on, like I said earlier today.
Tomorrow night show. Also didn't get into it on her own network. We'll talk about that tomorrow night. Both of us have some thoughts.